Look at your hands for a second. Now think about your face. You've seen it every single day of your life, in mirrors, in photos, in the dark glass of your phone. It's the most familiar thing in the world to you, and you've probably never once asked the obvious question. Why is it this face? Out of every possible human face, billions of them, why did you get this exact nose? These exact eyes? This specific arrangement that out of 8 billion people alive right now belongs to you and almost no one else? You didn't choose it. You didn't design it. And it almost didn't happen, because the face you're wearing is the result of a lottery so massive, with odds so insane, that the fact that you exist, looking exactly like you, is one of the most improbable things in the universe. Let's get into it. Let's start with where your face came from, because it didn't come from nowhere. It came from two people. Half of you came from your mother, half of you came from your father. You know that. But here's the part almost nobody really thinks about. You are not just a blend. You're not your mom's face mixed with your dad's face, like 2 cans of paint. You're a shuffle. When you were made, your parents didn't hand you a smooth average of themselves. Each of them dealt you a random hand of genes. Some from their mother, some from their father, shuffled and dealt in a combination that had never existed before, and will never exist again. So yes, genetically, you're half mom and half dad. But your face is not a simple 50-50 mix. It's a brand new deck, built from pieces of 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 before them, a tower of people you mostly never met, reshuffled into one single face, yours. And here's the thing, how you ended up with this exact face is not one simple answer. There are layers, and each layer makes you rarer than the last. Start with the odds, because they're almost impossible to believe. Every time a parent passes down their genes, the deck gets shuffled. And the number of different ways that deck can be shuffled is staggering. From just 2 parents, the number of genetically different children they could possibly have is not in the thousands. It's not in the millions. It's around 70 trillion. 70 trillion possible versions of their child. 70 trillion different faces that could have shown up wearing your last name. And out of all of them, you got made. One specific shuffle out of 70 trillion became a real person. That's why you don't look exactly like your siblings, even though you share the same parents. They're different shuffles of the same deck, different hands dealt from the same cards. You were not likely. You were one ticket in a lottery with 70 trillion tickets, and somehow you're the one holding it. Now here's where it gets stranger, because some of the cards in your deck haven't been played in a very long time. You've probably heard someone say it before. You have your great-grandmother's eyes. That's your grandfather's chin. It sounds like just a sweet thing families say. But sometimes, it's more true than people realize. Genes can hide. A trait can sit quietly in a family for generations, carried, passed down, but never fully showing up. And then, in you, the right pieces finally line up. A feature that hasn't been seen since a face in an old photograph suddenly appears again, on you. Think about what that means. Right now, your face might be carrying the shape of a nose that belonged to someone who died 100 years before you were born. A jawline from an ancestor whose name no one even remembers. A pair of eyes that once looked out at a world you will never see. You are wearing pieces of the dead. Faces that vanished, resurfacing in yours. You're not just you. You're a museum of everyone who made you, and you never knew which exhibits were on display. And now comes the part that makes this much bigger, because scientists have actually asked a strange question. Out of every part of your body, your height, your arms, your hands, why is the face the part that varies the most? 2 researchers at Berkeley, Michael Sheehan and Michael Nachman, looked into exactly this. And what they found was genuinely strange. First, your facial features vary far more than most other parts of your body. Far more. Second, and this is the weird part, they vary independently. For most of your body, traits tend to come bundled together. A tall person usually has longer arms, longer legs, a larger frame. The body scales as a set, but your face doesn't work like that. Having a wide nose tells you almost nothing about how far apart your eyes are. Having a certain mouth shape doesn't predict the exact shape of your chin. Each feature is like its own separate dial, turning on its own. The eyes, the nose, the mouth, the most recognizable triangle on the human body, mixing and matching in ways that almost never repeat. And that's not an accident. That's the perfect recipe for making billions of faces without making the same one twice. And then they looked at the genes themselves, and that's where they found the strangest thing of all. Normally, evolution acts like a filter. If a trait really matters for survival, natural selection tends to reduce variation. It keeps the version that works and slowly removes the versions that don't. That's usually the pattern. But the genes involved in building your face don't seem to follow that pattern. In those parts of your DNA, there is an unusual amount of variation, more than you would expect. Evolution didn't smooth it all out. It didn't make every face follow one perfect design. Instead, it seems to have preserved the differences, kept the mess, kept the diversity, kept the tiny changes that make one face different from another. Which means, at some point in our history, looking different from each other may have stopped being random noise and started becoming the entire point. So, why would evolution work this hard? To make sure no two faces are exactly the same. The answer is the most human thing imaginable, because we needed to tell each other apart. Think about most animals, a herd of cows, a flock of penguins. To us, they can look almost identical. And in many ways, they don't rely on faces the way we do. Most animals recognize each other through smell, or sound, or movement. They don't need a face to work like an identity card. But humans? Humans are a face species. We have an entire region of the brain, specialized for recognizing faces. We live in big, tangled social groups. Friends, rivals, strangers, family, people we trust, people we shouldn't. And knowing exactly who was standing in front of you instantly on sight could be a matter of survival. Trust the wrong face, follow the wrong person, miss the expression of someone dangerous, and you might not make it. So evolution gave us name tags. Not the kind you wear, the kind you are born with. Over hundreds of thousands of years, it seems to have favored faces that were instantly recognizable. Faces that could be picked out from the crowd. As one of the researchers put it, it's like evolving a name tag you can never take off. Your face isn't just a face, it's a signal that says, across a crowded room, in the dark, at a single glance, that's them. That one specific person, no one else. And here's the final layer, the one that gives me chills. When those researchers compared our DNA to the DNA of Neanderthals and Denisovans, our long-extinct cousins, they found something remarkable. The same elevated facial variation was already there. Which means this didn't start with us. The drive to have a unique, recognizable face is older than Homo sapiens, older than our species. Our ancestors were already evolving to be recognizable individuals, before they were even fully human. For hundreds of thousands of years, every person who has ever lived has worn a face that belonged to them, and them alone. Yours is just the latest one, the newest unrepeatable face in a chain that reaches back before history. Before language, before us, because two people were shuffled into one, because one combination out of 70 trillion became real, because the dead left pieces of themselves in your face, and because, for longer than our species has even existed, evolution has been quietly shaping faces so we could tell one another apart. You've looked at that face your whole life and thought it was ordinary. It isn't. It's a 1 in 70 trillion shuffle of 1,000 ancestors, sculpted by hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, built for one deeply human purpose, to be recognizable as you, completely, unmistakably, unrepeatably you. There has never been another face exactly like yours, and there never will be again.